Yes, people, watch along done with AFTV outside the Emirates. Now, of course, we wouldn't play here today. We were over at Goodison Park. And do you know what? The first thing I've got to say is a massive, massive class and permanent class to both of these clubs, Arsenal and Everton, on the 9th minute for Super Kevin Campbell. The tribute was phenomenal from both sides. And do you know what? It's one thing that we can collab together on and appreciate the man, the legend, and of course the footballer, Super Kevin Campbell, playing for both Arsenal and Everton. An absolute legend at both, it has to be said. So that is the first thing I wanted to get. In the 9th minute, it was a superb tribute. And do you know what? I watched it on the watch along. I couldn't hear the audio. I didn't need to. It was absolutely tremendous. The way that the actual coverage was proved how fantastic both sets of supporters were. So big up to both Everton and Arsenal for that. The game itself, well, it's a penalty decision that's been spoken about. But if I'm honest with you, it wasn't great from Arsenal going forward again today. And if I'm honest with you, defensively, or much as Kivior got player of the match, I don't think that we were outstanding either. Look, it probably would have been a clean sheet if it wasn't for the penalty. I don't think that Everton really did much in terms of peppering our goal. But I don't think Arsenal did either. Probably better chances did fall our way. Right straight away in the first few minutes, a mistake from Jordan Pickford, and the decision making from Trossard looked like he was half awake, to be honest with you. I think he should have done a hell of a lot better with that. He was off his line. He could have done so much more with it. The ball to Ethan Nwaneri from Trossard was abysmal. It actually took him back to the halfway line for him to actually take it under control. So frustrating in that aspect for sure. I think the way that we started the game in terms of the team lineup shows that Mikel Arteta has probably got his eyes set on Tuesday. And do you know what? I'm absolutely fine with that. It doesn't bother me what happened today. It bothers me what happens on Tuesday. I wanted to win today, but you know what? I'm okay, and I'm not angry at the manager for making those changes, because actually I still think that team was good enough and should have been good enough to cause Everton some problems and to take 3 points. So maybe we were close to doing so. But I needed to see more. I need to see more in the final third. I wanted to see the balance in midfield a little bit better. I didn't see that today. And certainly in the defensive areas, well, we've got to ask ourselves questions again, a couple of times caught out. Let's go through some of the player performances. Before we do that, let's touch on the penalty itself. I think it's soft, but I don't think it's a disgrace that it's given, and I don't think it would have been a disgrace if it wasn't given. I really think it was one of those. I think Miles Lewis-Skelly has given the referee a decision to make by grabbing hold of him. When you look at it on the replay, you can actually see his arm right round him. So, yes, Jack Harrison had hold of Miles Lewis-Skelly as well. There was a battle for the ball. Now, Miles Lewis-Skelly's got to do one of two things there. He's got to let go because he's lost a battle, or he's got to hold on to it and make sure he wins the ball, and he doesn't do that. And therefore, he's given the referee a decision. Now, VAR aren't going to get involved and overturn that. They're going to, of course, say that there's no clear and obvious decision there. It is definitely a penalty, and it's a brilliant penalty from Njai. David Raya, by the way, is he ever going to get near a penalty? I mean, he's diving the opposite way and direction of every single penalty so far that has been taken against Arsenal, but we can't blame him solely for that. Look, Miles Lewis-Skelly, to be fair to him, a lot of people will give him a lot of stick now. Oh, it's another mistake from Lewis-Skelly. It's another potential card or penalty given away. That's what's going to happen, people. He's 18 years old. He isn't the finished article. He's definitely got to have a bit of a role model to be looking up to. I quite like the bite. I quite like the fight, and definitely positives from his game going forward. That run, that mazy run, it was absolutely superb, to be fair, and I'd love him to take a shot a little bit earlier and potentially get a shot off there, because for me that would have absolutely made up for it. I thought the run was superb, and maybe it looks like Miles Lewis-Skelly does have a future for Arsenal in central of midfield. Maybe a lot of people talking about that left 8 position, still not quite sure who's going to be playing there long term. A lot of people suggest that Declan Rice is the guy there. For me, I do believe Declan Rice is a 6, not an 8, and I think Lewis-Skelly and Declan Rice could actually play quite well together in midfield in the future. So let's watch this space there. Enough on Lewis-Skelly, let's talk about some of the other players. I actually didn't think Jacob Kivior was horrendous today. He actually got player of the match. He did a good job. But coming up against Everton is very, very different to coming up against Real Madrid. And he's going to find out on Tuesday how difficult and how much different that is. Because I do believe he's probably going to get the nod now, with Mikel Arteta suggesting that he's got some faith in Jacob Kivior in the last couple of games. Saliba doing his best impression of Saliba, doing Saliba things. I actually thought today he made some really good interceptions, particularly in the first half. And when asked upon, he was reliable as ever. Let's talk about Ben White, because a lot of people wanted to talk about Ben White's fitness and level of consistency. But if I'm honest with you today, I thought there was a couple of question marks on that. He was really good going forward and overlapping, I've got no question. He actually cut it back to Sterling in the first half with a brilliant run, an overlap, and a great great touch, and real composure with actually delivering the ball across. Sterling, the shot gets blocked, but actually, yeah, maybe you could have done a bit better. But Ben White did some good things going forward. Defensively at times today, though, a few few errors, a little bit of rustiness maybe to be shaken off. Now, does that mean that he needs to be dropped on Tuesday if he's not quite ready? He did obviously come off for Timber in the end. I'm not so sure we're going to see Ben White and Timber both start on Tuesday, but certainly I would favour that, if I'm honest with you. We move into midfield. Jorginho does his job, doesn't he? Jorginho comes in when required and actually has a fairly good game. He wasn't outstanding, he never was scintillating, but actually his ball passing and the balance in midfield and the tempo of the game is something Jorginho has great skills and attributes for. Now let's move to Declan Rice. I just don't like Declan Rice in this 8, people. I keep annoying myself by repeating and echoing this, but actually it's true. He is not an attacking midfielder. He just isn't. And he can do jobs there. He can drive forward there. He can pass the ball there. But actually, when you look at his attributes and what we bought him for, did we look at Declan Rice and think, I'm going to spend £105 million on him because he's going to be our Fabregas? I don't think so. I don't look at that attacking 8 of a Phil Foden, of a Bernardo Silva, of a Alexis McAllister, of a Morgan Rogers, of a Reinders. There's other midfielders, let's say Bruno Guimaraes. These are not players that I look at and think, yeah, Declan Rice can replicate those. I look at Declan Rice and I think you're a Rodri type. You are a Tonali type of player. That's what I see Declan Rice as. But unfortunately, this manager seems to believe that he can coach him into this position, and I don't think consistently we're going to see enough of Declan Rice in that position to think, wow, we've got a world-class number 8 on our hands. I just don't think Declan Rice is that. And it's nothing against him, because actually I'm not having a go at Declan Rice here. I'm having a go at the manager here. He's misplacing him. If I'm honest with you, Thomas Partey's the only one in that trio that I absolutely believe in that position. I think Martin Odegaard would do a brilliant job in the 8 for Arsenal. And then you go and get a Florian Wirtz. Or if you don't want to go to that level because you think it's unrealistic, go and get a Morgan Rogers or a Cunha, or maybe you go and get an Eze, who we're linked with lately, for that position. I think that could work. But for me, Declan Rice and Odegaard, I liked the sound of it when we bought Rice, but I liked the sound of it with Rice in the 6. Now, I actually think, although saying that, I do believe Partey is the best 6 we've got. He isn't going to be around here forever. We're probably going to lose Jorginho and potentially Partey in the summer. Is that then going to allow for Rice to come in, or are we going to bring in a Zubimendi for that 6th position, have Rice to cover him, but Rice start in the 8? That's probably where I see Mikel Arteta's future with. So I think this balance in midfield has been all wrong. Then let me come to Martin Odegaard. I know he didn't start today, and I was actually quite disappointed that we saw Marino play there. I don't think he's the guy that we need in that position. Personally, I was quite happy with him playing in the 9 for now. I don't mind him in the attacking 8, but I think as a 10, I don't think he's really done too well there. And then you look at Ethan Nwaneri. There could have been more chance for an interchange today. Ethan Nwaneri should have been in the middle. Marino up top, Trossard and Sterling either side. That's what I would have liked to have seen starting. And I think for me, Ethan Nwaneri's got a chance there to actually show that perhaps with Martin Odegaard's bad form and run of performances, that he's actually on his neck. He's competition. He's someone that could start. Now, he's not going to start against Real Madrid. We know Martin Odegaard's going to play there, and I appreciate that that probably is the right thing to do. But I don't think we saw enough of Ethan today. We saw him on the right. He made a couple of good touches, and then he was held off at half-time. So for me, Martin Odegaard has got to step up. I need to see captain performance on Tuesday. I need to see role model. I need to see everybody looking eyes on him. I need to see him putting in a performance that makes Real Madrid think, rah, we should never have got rid of this guy. Look at him now. £30 million we sold him for. What a bargain for them. We regret it. And I don't think they've done enough of that. And look at their midfield, it's stacked, Real Madrid, right? He probably wouldn't start, if I'm honest with you. That's how good it is. However, Martin Odegaard right now is not even good enough to start for Arsenal in some of his recent performances. So I need to see more from that. Scuffed his shot today. Brilliant from Kieran Tierney, who come on with a great performance again. Brilliant cross, by far our best crosser of the ball. Brilliant for Marino, should have done better with a header. Brilliant pass into Odegaard, should have done better but fluffed his lines. I think he ended up actually going with his left and hitting his right and scuffing it completely. So we need to see better from Martin Odegaard. I need to see him step up, and I want to see his performances now taken to a level where we see him as one of our best players. Because as a captain of any football club, you should be the one that you look at and go, you're the best every single game. That's why you're our leader. That's why you're the one we look towards. That's why you're the one who gets us across the line. That's why you pick a game up by the scruff of the neck and say, I'll sort you out. And I haven't seen enough of that from Martin Odegaard in performances against top away teams or home teams when we play the big boys. And trust me, the big boys are coming on Tuesday. In terms of the front men, look, Trossard scored a brilliant goal. And if I'm honest with you, Sterling actually deserves a lot of credit for that. I thought he was good. He got the assist, and actually it was good decision-making from him. And Trossard's actually put in a really good chance there. And I think for me, Trossard is probably our best finisher. I don't think his decision-making is always on point, and he certainly don't have any pace, that's for sure. but I was really, really impressed with Leandro Trossard's goal. Saka and Martinelli coming on is good for their legs. Thought Martinelli actually caused a bit of a threat again down that left-hand side and was happy to take his man on. There's a couple of chances perhaps he could have done better with, but I was quite impressed when he cut in and took a shot. Bukayo Saka, look, he didn't do much, and it wasn't much for him to do. I don't think Everton really allowed us to get in behind them too much. And the substitutes come on and did their thing. Timber, really good, consistently again. So that moves us to Tuesday. We know the title's done. It's now 14 points if Liverpool beat Fulham this weekend. And if I'm honest with you, the title was done a long time ago. We concentrate now on Tuesday. If we were going for a title race and we were 6 points behind them, I'd be really pissed today. I would. I'd be frustrated. I'd be angry. I've done all my ranting and raving for that weeks ago, yeah? We threw the title away a long time ago when we lost to West Ham here. But now I look towards Tuesday. What would I do? I'd have Raya in goal when my back line would be Ben White, Timber, Saliba and Miles Lewis-Skelly. That was what I would do. The midfield picks itself with Partey, Rice and Odegaard. The front three picks itself with Saka, Martinelli and Merino at the moment, right? Maybe you could look at Trossard if Merino's head's not great, but I think his scoring ability, to be fair to him, has probably given him the chance to agree and say, fair play, you've got experience against Madrid, let's give you the chance. And I think Arteta will do that. But I think Kiwior might come in. I'm not sure if he's happy with Ben White's performance in terms of his fitness. I don't know if he's ready yet. So I think what will probably be is the team will be very similar to what I've gone with, other than one change. And I think it will be Kiwior that comes in at centre-back alongside Saliba, and then Timber will play at right-back. That's what I think it will be. Now, I could be wrong, and Ben White might be playing in the middle. We haven't seen that yet. All I care about is when those 11 players go out there, I want them to realise this is one of the biggest nights at the Emirates. It's one of the biggest nights in the history of the club. It's one of the biggest nights since the last time we played them in 2006. Certainly in the last decades, it's the biggest game that we've played here at the Emirates. Getting through to a quarter-final of a Champions League should always be a big night, but when you're playing a Bayern Munich or a Real Madrid, it makes it even bigger. And Real Madrid, for me, are the absolute kings of Europe. There's no pressure on Arsenal, in my opinion. There's no rival fan or Arsenal fan that believes Arsenal should be winning this game. Do they think we could win this game? Absolutely. Do they think there's an opportunity for us to go through this tie? Yeah, some people actually do. I think Real Madrid fans themselves have actually said, I was speaking to Dave, and he said that we're actually quite nervous about this game over two legs. Now make sure that Arsenal can actually allow this to be a two-legged affair. Let's not go out whimpering 2 or 3-0 on Tuesday night against Real Madrid and go into that second game in the Bernabeu and think, wow, literally nothing to play for. Let's roll the dice. Let's keep it tight. Let's go by what we believe, which is we are defensively good. Let's actually allow our balance in midfield to work for the first time in some time. And let's take our chances. We've got Saka back. We've got Martinelli back. We're going to have them flying. They need to be on form. Odegaard needs to take this game by the scruff of the neck. I want to see Declan Rice performing like a warrior. I want to see Thomas Partey performing and controlling that midfield. And I think defensively, we need to be as resolute as we can be. Saliba needs to prove to them, yeah, that's why you want me, because I am this good. I ain't letting you three, who, let's be real, are the 3 best front three in Europe. I'm not going to let them come and control it and play with us, yeah? What needs to happen is we need to be resolute. We need to get towards that Bernabeu with a win. If we can't do that, go with a draw and roll the dice and see what we do against that. That's what I'll be looking at on Tuesday night. In terms of what we need moving forward, Andrea Berta there today. I'll end on this. Very, very important that he was there today. Love to see that. Front camera on him, happy, sitting next to Richard Garlick, talking, being already more of a presence than the Cronkies have been in God knows how many years. All of a sudden, you now start to see what this guy's about. He is serious. And I do believe with the players that we're being linked with, it's exciting. Victor Gyökeres linked, Cunha linked, Eze linked, Nico Williams linked, Zuba Mendy linked, even Evan Ndika being linked with us at Roma at centre-back. Always been a fan of him, to be fair. Would be a good player to come in and give us some strength in depth, which is what we've now lost with Gabriel and co that have been injured. For me, those sort of players give me excitement about what could be a very, very important summer. And that, for me, is really, really key. Before we get there, we've got to go and do a quick prediction of Real Madrid. In fact, I'm going to leave that because actually right now, let's enjoy the sunshine. Let's look towards Tuesday night and let's just go with Arsenal versus Real Madrid being as exciting as it could be. Guys, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please get us up to 40k and we'll see you next time.